So something pretty big is happening in global politics right now. And honestly, most people are not even paying attention to it. Imagine you are in the middle of a serious conflict or crisis, and suddenly the country you rely on the most for intelligence and technology decides to limit your access. That's not just inconvenient, that's dangerous. And this is exactly the kind of situation that is now making countries like Canada and those in Europe rethink their dependence on the United States. Recently, tensions between the United States and its allies have been growing, especially around military decisions and foreign policy. Leaders like Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron have made it very clear that they are not willing to blindly support every move coming out of Washington. In fact, when it came to the idea of blocking a major global shipping route, they openly refused to get involved. That's a big deal, because traditionally, Western allies tend to stand together on these kinds of issues. At the same time, statements from Donald Trump have added more fuel to the fire. His criticism of global figures, including the Pope, has not only sparked controversy, but also created discomfort among allied nations. Even leaders who are generally supportive of the United States have started pushing back. This shows that the disagreement is not just political, it's becoming personal and ideological as well. But the real turning point in this whole situation is something that didn't get as much attention as it should have. A U.S.-based satellite imaging company, Planet Labs, decided to stop sharing satellite images of certain conflict zones after requests from the U.S. government. At first, this might sound like a routine security decision, but when you think about it more deeply, it raises a very serious question. What happens when critical information is suddenly restricted at the exact moment it is needed the most? Satellite data today is not just about maps or pictures. It plays a huge role in modern warfare and global security. Governments use it to monitor troop movements, assess damage after attacks, and make real-time strategic decisions. So when access to that data is delayed or blocked, it can directly affect how countries respond to threats. In simple terms, it can change the outcome of a conflict. In my opinion, this is where trust starts to break down. Allies expect reliability, especially in high-stakes situations. But if there is even a small chance that access to important data could be controlled or limited, then countries will naturally start looking for alternatives. It's not about blaming one side or the other. It's about reducing risk. This situation also reminds people of what happened during the Ukraine conflict. Elon Musk, through his company SpaceX, controls a satellite internet system known as Starlink. There was a moment when Ukrainian forces wanted to use this system for a military operation, but the request was not approved due to concerns about escalation. Whether that decision was right or wrong is still debated, but it highlighted a major issue. When private companies control such powerful infrastructure, who really makes the final call during a crisis? That question alone is enough to make governments uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, national security decisions ideally should not depend on private individuals or companies, no matter how influential they are. This is one of the key reasons why countries are now trying to build their own systems instead of relying on external providers. Canada is a very good example of this shift. The country has started investing in its own satellite launch capabilities so it can operate independently if needed. The idea is simple but powerful. If you can launch and manage your own satellites, then you are not dependent on anyone else during critical moments. Considering that a significant portion of Canada's economy relies on satellite systems, including banking, communication, and navigation, this move actually makes a lot of sense. From my perspective, this is not about cutting ties with the United States. It's more about creating a backup plan. In today's world, where geopolitical tensions can change overnight, having your own infrastructure is like having insurance. You hope you never need it, but you still want it there just in case. Now, if we look at Europe, the situation becomes even more interesting. The European Union is working on a massive satellite project worth around $10 billion. The goal is to create a fully independent and secure communication network that does not rely on American systems. This includes advanced satellite networks designed for both government and military use. Major companies like Eutelsat and SES are part of this initiative, and the system is expected to become fully operational in the coming years. What stands out here is not just the scale of the investment, but the intention behind it. Europe wants control over its own data, its own communication, and its own security systems. Personally, I think this marks a significant shift in global dynamics. For decades, the United States has been the central hub for advanced technology and security infrastructure among Western allies. But now, we are starting to see a slow but steady move towards independence. It's not happening overnight, but the direction is very clear. This shift is not limited to satellites either. There have already been efforts in Europe to reduce reliance on American financial systems and digital platforms. What we are seeing now is part of a larger trend where countries want more control over critical sectors. And honestly, it's hard to blame them. In a world where technology plays such a crucial role in security and economy, dependence can quickly turn into vulnerability. At the same time, it's important to keep things in perspective. The United States is still one of the most powerful and technologically advanced countries in the world. Its partnerships and alliances are still strong. But actions and decisions at the top level can influence how those alliances evolve over time. The big question now is whether these developments will lead to stronger cooperation or deeper divisions. On one hand, having multiple independent systems could make the global network more resilient. On the other hand, it could also reduce coordination and increase competition between allies. In my opinion, we are entering a phase where global power is becoming more distributed. Instead of relying on one dominant player, multiple regions are building their own capabilities. This could create a more balanced system, but it also comes with new challenges. At the end of the day, this entire situation comes down to one key factor, and that is trust. When allies start questioning whether they can fully rely on each other during critical moments, they begin to make changes. And those changes, even if they seem small at first, can have long-term consequences. So the real question is, are these moves by Canada and Europe a smart step toward security and independence, or are they a sign of growing mistrust within traditional alliances? There is no simple answer, but one thing is clear. The world is changing, and countries are preparing for a future where they need to stand on their own if required. Anyway, that's the full breakdown in simple terms. Let me know what you think about this situation. Do you see this as a necessary shift, or do you think it could create more problems in the long run? Your opinion actually matters here, because these changes are shaping the future of global politics.